welcome to the Vibrant Life podcast, the official podcast of the Vibrant Life community. I'm Sarah Nolan, and I am an energy management and burnout prevention consultant, and I help my clients to create a state of calm on demand in any moment, regardless of life circumstances, and help them really find the freedom inside of themselves that they've been looking for so long in coming back to who they really are underneath all of the garbage, all the things that they've accumulated throughout the years, like old beliefs that are disempowering and hold them back, and emotional states like fear patterns and anger and things like that that are holding them back from being the person that they really are, the person that they were born as. So I'm super excited for this week's series. We are on the fourth part of it, and it's all about stress management systems. And we started off talking about why it's so important to have a stress management system, especially if you are a high achiever and you are taking on, as much as high achievers take on, especially if you have a family on top of it, on top of all of that. We talked about what is right with stress and why stress is actually a good thing. We talked about why you shouldn't try to control it, why that's counterproductive. And last week we talked about what most people do, things like breathing, meditation, and therapy, affirmations and positive thinking, and why those are all great things, but they're not a system, and so they're not necessarily going to help you solve the actual problem that's causing somebody to be chronically stressed. And today we're talking about my journey, where I started out pretty much my whole life being super stressed with anxiety about schedules, like super anxious about timing. And I was always looking at my watch, always like really anxious for the next thing, and also social situations. And then also I was on top of that just always depressed. And it had to do with the way that I was raised, the environment that I was raised in, and things just stacked on layer by layer over the years. And I ended up with this a situation where I couldn't ignore it anymore, and I couldn't keep suppressing things and pushing things to the side anymore, because it just bubbled up to the surface and I had to face it. And so I did all of those things that I just talked about. And if you want to learn more about that, then listen to the previous episode about all the things that most people do. And what I learned in my journey is when they're appropriate to do those things and when they're counterproductive. So like I said, with my journey, and this is why one of the reasons I'm such an expert on this is because I went through it all. I mean, it started out with me attempting suicide when I was like, I don't know, 15 or something. And that was like the first kind of wake up call that what was going on inside of my mind and my heart wasn't okay. And then it obviously wasn't okay, and that I had to figure something out. But I didn't listen to it. And I was just a kid. I didn't really know that there was any way. And I think that's how a lot of people are, is they don't think there's anything they can really do about it, except for these like pills and quick fix kinds of things where it just like takes the edge off. I think that's what most people think is out there for them, in that there's not really anything you can do. And that's what I felt, back then. And then I came up to when I had my first child, and the stress and anxiety exasperated some of the issues that I had with the pregnancy. And so I was on bed rest for the last part of the pregnancy, and my son and I actually almost died at the birth. And so all of that was exasperated because I had so much stress inside of me. And when you have built up stress, it causes inflammation, and it causes all kinds of health complications in your body because your body is tense and your organs are not allowed to move properly. They're not allowed to function in the way that they normally would function. So you're just more at risk for complications when you're under chronic stress. And one sign I knew that I had the stress was always like that tightness in my stomach. I would wake up with my teeth would hurt. My teeth would feel like they were going to fall out because I was clenching my jaw. And this happened my whole life. It was like a normal thing where I'd wake up and my teeth would hurt and feel like they were going to fall out. My hands would be sore. My fingers would be sore because I'd be clenching my hands while I slept. And so that first pregnancy, when I had that double near-death experience, was a wake-up call for me, where it's like, okay, none of that stuff was working. Like, I tried meditation, but I was too freaking stressed out to meditate. I did this birth class where they taught us some relaxation techniques and taught us how to visualize the colors and all this stuff. But I was way too stressed out to focus on any of it. So that wasn't really helpful. But I knew that it like made sense. I knew that that's something that I strive to be able to do, was to be able to relax enough to do that stuff. So, after I had my son and we all survived and we all like went on with our lives, I started getting into more of the visualization and more of the meditation. And I started to be able to relax. When I became pregnant again, I was like, this situation that I had last time is not going to happen again. Like, it just can't. We're going to do it differently this time. So I made myself get better at the visualization and the meditation. And it was better. I had a much easier pregnancy. I had very little actual pain when I was in labor, and I recovered really quickly from that pregnancy. And then, so it was like great, right? I was doing the meditation, doing the visualization, and that stuff was helping me. And I learned how to relax my body because I knew. I started putting things together. It's like, okay, I wake up with my hands, my fingers hurt because I know I'm clenching my fists. And I actually would do that when I wasn't sleeping too. So I recognized that. And so I started paying attention to when my hands were clenched, and I started just constantly open my hands. My hands are clenched. Okay, take a deep breath, open my hands. So that helped me to kind of ease some of that physical tension, but I still wasn't getting to the problem. Like, I still wasn't addressing like why the heck I had all of the stress inside of me in the first place. And so that worked, for about a year. And then we moved to Colorado, which was away from all of our family. And that was another trigger. And this is what I didn't know back then, was these kind of crisis points that I was experiencing in my life. Those were triggers. I was coping normally, day to day, but then something major would happen that would trigger me, and then I would go into this like crisis state. So when I moved to Colorado, it was one of those things where it was, something major happened, and a stressful situation, away from all support. Our kids were not even one, and the other one was two, so babies. And we didn't know anybody. I don't know, so far out of our comfort zones, no support that we knew of. Of course, I realized how to tap into higher level support, but there was, at the time, I didn't know how to do that. So that caused another, like, me to be triggered again in this kind of a crisis mental state. And I had a health scare because of all the stress, and just because my life was so chaotic at the time, that I started like doubling down. I'm like, okay, I know that meditation helps me to feel better. I know that like relaxing my body helps me to feel better. And so I started doing like an hour of meditation a day. And of course, I was getting better at this by this time. And it was helping, but it wasn't fixing the problem. Like I was still in that reaction mode of like, okay, serious stress. I feel like I'm gonna like freak out at my kids and freak out at everybody and like break down and cry like on a daily basis. And so I would react with some kind of a technique. So it'd be like freak out, react with a technique. And so that was kind of the cycle I was in. And something told me to like, it's like, okay, this isn't really working. So we need to just keep on seeking something, keep on exploring. And I started talking with a life coach, and she suggested that I look into energy work. And she was suggesting energy work for myself. And at the time, I was thinking, this sounds like something I'd like to do for my career because I'd like to start working again. And I always wanted to work for myself. So I started looking into energy work, and I interviewed, I don't know how many people, at least 10 different people I interviewed to train with. Um, and I first started with a session. So I went to get a Reiki session, and it was, from a local Reiki master. And during that session, I experienced more releasing. I experienced something that I had never experienced before. And it was like I went out of my body and I felt this massive release. Like all of the tension in my body had disappeared while I was in that session. And I had done meditation before, I had done tons of yoga, I had done like essential oils, like all these different things to relax myself, but it was nothing like what this gave me with the energy work. And I was like, okay, this is really, really powerful. I need to find out more about this. So then I started doing all the interviews, and I found a lady that was just amazing. She was the one that I was really excited about. So I did, I went all the way up to the master teacher level with her. And what I found was that in the process of learning how to do this for other people for my career, I started recovering and healing from all of that built up stress inside of me. And I remember waking up one day and realizing I don't have enough, and this was only within a month of starting the program, okay? Um, I don't have that constant stress anymore. I don't have that knot in my stomach. I don't wake up with like a sore mouth. I don't wake up with my hands sore anymore. I don't eat at night anymore. I stopped like stress eating, which I had to eat every hour basically in order to feel satiated. And that was because of all of the stress. And I was eating to, unconsciously, I was eating to help to relieve that stress. And naturally, like I didn't go on a diet, I didn't go on any kind of a plan. All of the stuff started shifting naturally as I was practicing the energy work. And so, that was my first realization that like this is something that can work for any person in any situation, and it works really fast. And I had been doing, I had been engaging in natural healing practices, for the past 15, 20 years. And this was the first thing that I saw actual results from. And I could do like a cause and effect. It's like when I do this, this happens. With all of the other things, like what I talked about yesterday with the breathing techniques and meditation and therapy, affirmations, positive thinking, like those things all help. But this was a system. This is a system that fixes the big problem. stress is a symptom. And so when you're just addressing the stress, you're always going to be in that back and forth, like you're just stagnating. You're always just reacting to the system, to the symptom, when you're using techniques like what I just talked about. And so this energy healing system, this energy healing system fixes the problem and gets to the root of it. And so what I was finding was there were all of these layers that were like stacked on top of each other that were really weighing me down, and they were holding me back. They were causing me to choke up when I was speaking. They were causing me to be like hunched over all the time. They were causing me to not sleep at night. They were causing me to get in these funks that I couldn't get myself out of, and causing me to be super emotionally reactive. And I had no patience with my children. It was all because of the stacked up stress that was inside of me that originated back when I was a child, and I didn't know how to deal with emotions. I didn't know what to do with them, so I just stored them away for when I was 30. I stored them away for 30 years. When I finally figured out a system to just purge all of it. So that is my journey of going from stress, just continuously day to day in that cycle of being stressed and depressed, to every day I wake up happy. I wake up ready for my day, excited, fulfilled, like I love what I do, and because I don't have the stress and I don't have the beliefs and the just constant low level fear and anxiety, it's allowed me to create a beautiful life without limitations, without like holding myself back, and without, like I could just go all in. And so I kind of just like lost my train of thought for a second. So yes, this was my journey from one thing to now I get to just have an awesome life, and it's really all because of the system. It's just because of the system, and the reason what makes it a system is it covers the big picture. It covers all of the situations, and it allows you to address many things at once, and it always goes to the root level cause. And there's a process that goes with it. It's not like you just do the same thing every day. In the beginning, you start out starting with the physical and re-energizing on a physical level, re-energizing your cells, re-energizing your nervous system, and just allowing more energy to flow through your body consistently. And then you reprogram your mind. You strip away those negative beliefs, and those beliefs that you're not good enough, that you don't deserve the best, the beliefs that maybe you don't have the capacity, that there's not enough time, that there's not enough money, that money's evil, things like that. You start to strip away those beliefs, and the embedded emotional patterns that we often live in, like that constant fear. Sometimes there's like a underlying anger that tries to come out, and so this allows you just to process and allow it to come out in a healthy way. And then also connecting more spiritually and connecting more on a deeper personal level with yourself. And so through this process, you naturally become elevated in your state of consciousness and awareness, and it allows you to see the big picture, and it allows you to deal with things with a lot more ease and grace. So ultimately, all of this to say is that having a stress management system like this that I teach in Recharge that is a way to solve pretty much any problem that you have in your life, because all of these problems, whether it's with relationships, your business, with your kids, with your health, it all stems from stress. And then this system addresses the root of that stress, regardless of what's going on in your life. So this is something that I do for myself. I live and I breathe it. I do it throughout the day, and it's a lifestyle. And that's part of what makes it a system. And this is something that I teach my clients to do as well. And I can't tell you how many people have completely turned around their lives within, at least a couple of months by using this system, and it just stays with them forever. And the changes last forever, and they just continuously improve. Even if they don't even come back to the system, it just puts you on this track of progress, in this track of growth and evolution. So I hope that was helpful for you to hear that story. Please let me know in the comments if what your one takeaway was from our session today. And if you'd like to learn more about Recharge and about the system that we use in Recharge, or about that process, just let me know and I can share that with you. So thank you so much for tuning in today. I know that your time is super valuable, and I love you for that. And we will definitely talk again soon. Tomorrow, let's see, is it tomorrow? It's either going to be tomorrow or Friday. We're going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about, we're going to start a new series, and it's going to be all of the things that I quickly went over yesterday, which was breathing, meditating, therapy, affirmations, and positive thinking. So we're going to go into those more in depth either tomorrow or Friday. All right. Bye, guys. Thanks.